So in terms of the university and its profile, we are a Russell Group university in the UK. And the Russell Group is a group of 24 universities who are research intensive universities, so they're very focused on research. They've also got very strong links to local and national industry, so there are lots of partnerships with big companies in the UK, but also internationally as well. So that's something that sets the Russell Group of universities apart from other universities that you might have looked at in the UK. It's not just about the research though. What we try to do at Warwick is ensure that all of that cutting edge research that is conducted really feeds through into the teaching that you will experience as a student. So the things that you'll be learning about in the classroom are the most up-to-date, the most recent findings in that discipline area. And your academic staff who are leading you in your learning, they are engaged in that research and they are familiar with those new and breaking elements of the subject that are being looked at the moment. So that's something that's really important to us at the university. We have received gold in the Teaching Excellence Framework and in all 3 areas. So in terms of the student experience and student outcomes, and that's the highest ranking that you can get in terms of the Teaching Excellence Framework. So that's really fantastic news for the University of Warwick. As well as that, we've also got a very strong profile in terms of the rankings of the university, both in the UK and around the world. So we are 8th at the moment, according to the Guardian University Rankings for 2025. And we're consistently in the top 10 for all UK rankings of universities. So top 10. We're 22nd in Europe in the QS World Rankings for 2025. So again, you can see that's a really strong profile across the whole of Europe. And in terms of our world ranking, we are 69th in the world, again, according to the QS rankings. This is all against the background of Warwick actually being quite a young university. So some universities in the UK, when you think of Oxford and Cambridge and even the likes of the University of Manchester, you're talking about universities which have got a long history and they've been established for a very long time. Warwick is actually celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. So the fact that we are consistently in the top 10 of universities, we've got that strong QS World Rankings as 69th, it really showcases how much has been achieved and how well Warwick is performing as a new and younger university in the UK. So that's something that we're very proud of. And again, it's one reason that people think about Warwick and why they might choose Warwick for their undergraduate or postgraduate studies. In terms of where we are in the centre of England. So this is a map of Great Britain. So you can see and Northern Ireland. You can see where we are in the middle, according to that purple dot. So you can see it's right in the middle of England. So we're about 2 hours away from Manchester. We're around an hour and a half away from London, and in fact on some trains you can actually get from Warwick to London in around 1 hour on the train. So it's a really well placed in terms of the cities that are around us. There's also Birmingham, which is about 25 minutes away, and that is England's second biggest city. So there's lots of vibrant activities that go on in Birmingham, but like I say, you've also got those links to other further afield cities like London and Manchester. As well as the city, we are also in a really nice spot in terms of the rural area. So we've got lots of small, very quintessentially British tourist towns that are close to us. So the likes of Stratford-upon-Avon, Leamington Spa, Warwick. These are all really nice small towns that are close by to us. So Stratford-upon-Avon is obviously the birthplace of William Shakespeare. Warwick, there is a famous castle that you can visit in Warwick as well. So lots of that British history and culture that you can engage with is really close by. And the university itself is a campus university. And that means that everything is all together in one space. So we've got some images here of campus and what you can expect. So there are lots of modern buildings and teaching facilities. There's lots of infrastructure on the campus itself. So we have things like our arts centre, our sports and wellness hub. We've got a 24-hour library. There are, in the sports centre, you can see there's things like climbing walls. We also have hockey fields, football pitches outside. There is a students' union where you can go, you can socialise, but there's also shops. There are pharmacies, banks, all of these things are self-contained in the Warwick campus. And then around campus, we've also got really nice green spaces as well. So there's lots of areas that you can go to relax and take a breath away from your studies. But then there's also those very vibrant and busy areas where you can be socialising with your friends as well. We've also got a range of teams that will support you in those areas. So, for example, we have a full accommodation team, residential community team who live alongside you on campus. In the Students' Union itself, there is an advice centre. The Students' Union is there to represent you if there are any issues that you are facing. And the same goes for things like the library, the health centre, any wellbeing support. There is always a team of people at the university who are there to help you, whether it's relating to your academic studies or things that are going on outside of your studies. So that's one of the incredible things about the Warwick campus and all the things that you would have access to as soon as you are a Warwick student, and that includes on the foundation programme with us. So you can see this is the Sports and Wellness Hub. This was opened in 2019. So I've mentioned the climbing wall, there are squash courts, a 12-lane swimming pool. There's also a physiotherapy clinic as well. So if you do have any issues during your time, then you can make use of the physiotherapy clinic as well. And the Arts Centre, this is a really fantastic facility, and it's one of the biggest arts centres outside of London. So we've got cinema screens in here for watching films, movies, and you can use this. There are also theatres for music events, for theatrical productions, ballet performances. You get access to all of these things, and you all get discounted tickets for all of these events as a Warwick student as well. Likewise, if you are also involved in any societies which have an arts focus, whether it's music, whether it's drama, then you also will have the opportunity to perform in the Arts Centre as well, which is a really great opportunity to get a taste of what it's like to perform in a professional setting as well. So that's just one of the many facilities that you would have access to on campus. Like I say, that is from the point that you enrol as a foundation student. You can be accessing all of these things. Obviously, I've spoken about the social elements, but the main reason that anyone comes to university is for the academic study and the opportunities and the different courses that are available. So our academic structure is at the university is around faculties. So we have 3 faculties and then a cross faculty. So the 3 faculties are arts, science and social sciences. And then you can see the departments that sit within those faculties as well. So Warwick is really well known for things such as mathematics, computer science, economics, business, but we've also got a very strong performing law school. We've got well-regarded education studies courses, politics, sociology, theatre, history, film and television. So it's a really broad range of subjects that are available across the undergraduate and postgraduate level. We're also, I've mentioned the cross-faculty studies, and we are an interdisciplinary university. So the idea is that we try to ensure that students aren't just looking at subjects from one subject perspective. We bring in different subjects so that you have got a very broad understanding, and you can think about things and analyse some of the problems in the world and the current issues through the lens of those different subject areas. So, for example, we've got liberal arts and we've got global sustainable development. You can combine those with many different subject areas and have not just a single honours programme, but joint honours with different subjects in influencing those subject areas. We really want to make sure that you're becoming world-class academics in your studies, and that's in terms of the content that you're studying, but also that engagement with the leading experts in those departments who are teaching you, and they've got a range of diverse backgrounds and interests. So that's what the university looks like as a whole in terms of its academic profile. So I'll just move on now to the foundation programme itself and where that sits within the university and how it works. So I've mentioned that Warwick is 60 years old. Well, the foundation programme has turned 40 in the last few years. So we were founded in 1983. So we've got more than 40 years of experience of supporting international students who need an additional year of study before their bachelor's degree. So we're one of the longest running foundation programmes in the world. So that's, again, something that we're very proud of. We're delivered at the University of Warwick, as I've mentioned a couple of times. When you join us, you have access to everything that Warwick has available, and you are a fully enrolled Warwick student. And you're taught by Warwick academics. So all of the staff who teach you are part of the Warwick Foundation Studies department, and we're an academic department at the University of Warwick. We have progression routes into most Warwick degree programmes, including some of those really competitive programmes that I've mentioned, so the likes of economics and business management. As part of your time on the foundation programme, you will be eligible for guaranteed conditional offers, and there's details about that on our website, and that allows you to be one step ahead of other people who are looking at applying to Warwick, who are guaranteed that conditional offer. The full details are on the website about which courses that relate to, and I've got a slide coming up that we can talk some more about that. But as well as Warwick, the course is also considered by most other UK universities. So every year we have a number of students who will take the Warwick International Foundation Programme and will then progress on to universities including UCL, the LSE, King's, Durham, Manchester, Lancaster. We support students if they want to apply to Oxford and Cambridge. We've had students who've been invited to interview at those institutions. We are there to support students no matter where they want to progress to. And that's something that we are, again, we're really proud of, the fact that we have a whole support team that is just focused on your progression, regardless of where you want to go to. We also have tailored English provision, so it's based upon that subject discipline, and it's a core module, so English for academic purposes, it's core for every student regardless of your IELTS score, and we also have an inquiry and research skills module which is core. Now these programmes, they're not about improving your English generally, they're not about preparing for an IELTS exam, they're about preparing you to engage at university level in an academic way. So how do you take part in a seminar successfully? How would you have a discussion or a debate in an academic way? How would you use your English skills to structure an essay? How would you make sure that you're getting the best scores that you can? So that's what the English for academic purposes will focus on. The inquiry and research skills will talk about, well, how do you actually find the appropriate sources to back up what you're saying? How do you go about conducting primary research, whether it's a survey, whether it's looking through data sources? The inquiry and research skills will really give you those skills to make sure that you can conduct your own research and also analyse research which has been conducted before you, and come up with a conclusion based on the information that you're reading. And on the course there are 10 different subject areas that you can choose from, so we'll have a look at those and you'll see that they're aligned to the progression routes and the undergraduate degree programmes at Warwick. So we have business management, finance and economics, and that's quite clear that the courses that you'd be progressing onto from those subjects, things in the business schools, so the likes of accounting and finance, management, international management, economics, or it might be economics combined with management. Those options are available at undergraduate level, so they're the sorts of foundation programme courses you'd be looking at. We then also have courses in mathematics and statistics, computer science, physics and engineering, biological sciences and psychology. And students choosing those courses would be progressing to the likes of data science. They might be thinking about engineering, and there's a range of engineering courses at Warwick, whether it's civil engineering, computer systems engineering. There's a very broad area of engineering at the university. And there's also the medical school and life sciences department. So if you're interested in neuroscience, for example, or biomedical science, then again, the biological sciences course would be a good option for you. And then finally, we have our social science, law and arts and humanities course options. So these are really for students who are looking at the likes of sociology, politics, law, LLB, whether you're looking at film and television studies. They're the sorts of courses that you would be looking at from a foundation perspective to progress into those areas of study. So it's really important that you look at those courses and think about the undergraduate course that you're hoping to progress to make sure that you're choosing the best option for yourself. I said we've got guaranteed offers in place across a range of our undergraduate degrees. This slide just gives you an idea of where those guaranteed offers are in place, and which foundation programme you would take to map onto that. So you can see for the likes of mathematics, then the only route that you'd be able to choose would be mathematics and statistics. Whereas for something like MORS, which is mathematics, operational research, statistics and economics, you could choose either the Maths and Statistics Foundation, the Economics Foundation or the Computer Science Foundation. And any of those is going to prepare you really well for the MSc MORS programme or the BSc MORS programme. So there's more information about this on our website. So please, when you're looking at course options, have a look at the progression options that are available as well. Last year, 63% of our foundation students progressed to the University of Warwick, so they stayed with us and they're still here in year one. But 84% of our students progressed to a Russell Group university. So as I've mentioned, they've progressed to those leading UK universities, and 70% of the students progressed to a UK top 10 university. So as I've said, as well as preparing students for Warwick, we are preparing students for a range of different UK universities, and making sure that our students are highly sought after by those UK universities as well. So every year we host a university fair and we invite other universities to come in to talk to our foundation programme students, so that students can find out what the options are and which universities they might be interested in. So we really are all about making sure that you get to the place that you want to be at the end of the programme. Okay, so that was a very quick overview of everything to do with the foundation programme and Warwick more broadly. We did have a webinar back in November that was more about the IFP and the course structure. So if you did want some more insight into that, please do watch the recording, and also look out for our upcoming webinars as well. But now we're going to turn our attention specifically to admissions and how you secure a place on the International Foundation Programme. So I'm happy to be joined by one of our senior admissions coordinators, Elysia. So Elysia, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your role in the foundation programme, please.
Yeah, so as Alison said, I'm one of the senior admissions coordinators for the Warwick Foundation programme. So me, alongside a team of another senior admissions coordinator and admissions coordinators, we look at your applications that come through, we assess them, we read all your personal statements, and we help with any inquiries that you have coming through about the programme, whether it's what progression route you want to choose for, what course should you choose to go to your undergraduate degree, any inquiries you have about your curriculum coming in, or we're the people that help you make sure you get a place on the programme. We're there for every step of the way of your application process.
That's great, thank you. So Elysia, can you just talk us through how students apply? So what is the process for applications? Is it like UCAS, or are we talking something completely different?
So our applications don't go through UCAS, they go directly through to our website. So if you go onto the Warwick IFP website, you'll find an apply now button, and it has all the information down there for you to apply. So there's a short application form for you to input all your personal details. It includes an overview of your school study, and it gives you a place for you to upload your documents for us to make that decision. You have to pay a £75 application assessment fee. If you are a student that is going to be sponsored by, say, a Ministry of Education or a company, you can request for that fee to be waived, as we know that the sponsors don't generally pay the full fees when they have their financial guarantee letter, so you can request that. And we just like to make our students aware that you make sure you set up the IT account so you can access your application portal, so you can fully process your application. We do have a couple of students that query us in that they haven't been able to get on, but it's because they sometimes miss an extra email that gets sent out for you to set up your actual application portal.
Okay, that's great, thank you. And you've mentioned some of the documents, so students will be asked to upload documents. Can you tell us about those and when students tend to upload these?
Yep, so the most important documents that we need in order to make an official decision on your application is your most recent transcript. So that could be a part transcript if you're halfway through your studies. It could be predicted grades as well, or it could be a transcript from last year, say if you've already finished your studies. We also require a personal statement for you to be submitted as well. So we'll talk about a bit more about that shortly, but that's also an important thing to upload to us for us to make a decision. We don't need an IELTS straight away. If you do have an IELTS that meets our requirements, then by all means submit that. But if you don't have an IELTS that meets our requirements yet, or if you've yet to take a requirement, then that would be a condition of your offer if you are successful. So it's not something that we need in order to make a decision on your application.
Okay, that's really useful to know. So no English tests required to apply. That's something that can be done later in the process.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. And you've mentioned personal statements. Now this is always a tricky one, and I know that there are different processes depending on the institution and different whether it's UCAS or whether it's direct application. Can you tell us about the IFP personal statements and what the process is for writing those?
Yeah, so it's a very important document that we do look at. And we ask some specific questions. So it's not a general catch-all document about, why you want to apply to any university. We want to know specifically about why you're applying to Warwick and why you're applying for that chosen course. It helps us to make sure that you are applying to the right course that for you. So if we go through and read your personal statement and it seems that you actually have interests in other areas that we think that there might be another course suitable for you, that's how we just make sure that you're applying for the right course for you, and we can help advise you the best that we can. So we have very specific questions. So it's why you're applying for the Warwick IFP, and why does your course and subject, your chosen course subject, interest you? So want to know, why are you interested in, say, finance? Why are you interested in business? So why that area really relates to you. And why does Warwick IFP relate to your future undergraduate degree choice? Again, if you are interested in a certain degree, and we want to make sure that you are applying for the right undergraduate course for you. So say you're applying for, say, business management, but you want to progress onto accounting and finance, then we would let you know that that you can't progress onto that for a guaranteed conditional offer for that subject. So we would advise you on the best course for you to go to. But it also just helps us to see what kind of a student you are, what your interests are, and that you thought about your process of your foundation program to then progressing onto your undergraduate studies. And then final question as a choice of 3 different questions to answer. So you can choose either about if a guest speaker was to come onto the university, what guest speaker would you like to invite, and what kind of questions would you ask them? If you was to introduce yourself to a student on the foundation program, what would you tell them? What would you discuss about your likes and your interests? What are your hobbies? And then the third question is if you have come across a setback or a failure or anything like that, so across your life. It doesn't have to be necessarily something within your education life. It's just something that you feel like has been sort of a challenge, and how you've overcome that, and how you think that has made you better as sort of like a person. What challenges have you overcome that you've learned from?
Great, that's really interesting. So that's giving you an insight to the student and why the foundation program. If a student, as you've mentioned, if they've mentioned a course and it's not one, so they've applied for a course, and then when they talk about where they want to progress, it doesn't match up, do they have to apply again, or is that something that you can change their courses?
No, they don't have to apply again at all. So we will get back in touch with the student, and we would mention to them, we've read through your personal statement and it looks like you may be more suitable to this other foundation program. And we would talk directly with the student, get them to have a look at, say, more information of the other course that we think might be suitable, and the progression routes from both of those courses. And we would work with the student to make sure that they feel that they are applying for the best foundation program for them. And then we can manually change over that application. So there's no need to apply again. And we also only request you to make, because we can manually change courses, there's only need to apply for one foundation program.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. So what happens next once the student's done that and they've submitted their documents? What can they expect after that point?
Yeah, so if we have the right information that we need to make a decision, say, like we said, your most recent transcript and a personal statement that meets our requirements, then you should expect to receive a decision for us in the next 3 to 5 working days of a conditional offer. So the conditional offer will contain any other outstanding conditions that we require in order for you to make an unconditional offer, which could include your IELTS as well if you haven't met your English language requirements. Sometimes we do need some more information from you, like additional transcripts, or maybe there's been a gap in your education history that we're just interested to find out what you have been doing in that time. So we might want to get back in touch with you for additional information, just to make sure that we have all the information possible in order to make our decision. You may also be potentially invited to join an interview. This could be an interview maybe if we need further questions on your personal statement, or if it's to assess your current level of maths, just to make sure you have the right level of maths for the program that you've applied for. So a certain amount of our courses have a maths requirement. So courses with a maths requirement where we feel that we want to just check, say your maths has sort of not always been above our requirements, but we just want to make sure that you are at the good level, you could be invited to take part in an academic interview. So what we'll do is send you an email inviting you to take place in that interview, which will run over Microsoft Teams. So you will be able to select a date and time that is suitable for you, and then to take part in that interview. So it will be a member of, most likely myself from the admissions team, and one of our academic team members if it is a maths interview. And it was quite an informal interview, and we like to make sure our students feel relaxed, because it can be quite a stressful thing to people think that they're being asked questions about themselves and their maths ability. But we're mainly there to see what the level of education you have in terms of maths, and if you are also teachable in that subject as well. So it's not necessarily always about getting the questions absolutely correct. It's about knowing what methods you have learned and if you are teachable in that certain methods. It could also be as well, if you have, say, a couple of years gap in education, a way of sort of trying to pick out that information that you may think that you've lost and getting you back to that area. So we know that the information is there. You just need a bit more help to kind of pull it out from the back of your memory. So always make sure when you do come and join our interviews to make sure that you're in a quiet place where you won't be interrupted, and to make sure that you have a pen and paper with you, because we do ask questions and we ask the students to write down their answers to their questions and hold the paper back up to the screen for us, so we can see the answers that you've got and the process that you've used to get to those answers, and our teachers will talk you through things if we feel that you've not got quite the right answer.
That's really good, thank you. And do students need to prepare for those interviews in any way, or is it just where they are at the moment in terms of their studies?
Yeah, so we don't really require students to prepare for it. As we say, we're trying to assess the student's current level of academic ability. So it's where you are now. So we don't require students to prepare for it. It's your current knowledge of your maths level.
Really great, thank you. So if that's all gone well and you've been successful and you get an offer, what does the process look like after that?
Yeah, so once you receive your conditional offer, we'll let you know any dates and deadlines of when you need to meet your outstanding offers. As I said, that could be an English language certificate. We also require a £2,000 deposit, and we require your final transcript and a copy of your passport data page. So your deadline to make your £2,000 deposit payment and accept your offer will be detailed in your conditional offer, and then all other outstanding conditions or your documents will be required by the 22nd of August. So once you have met all your outstanding conditional offers and conditional requirements, you will then be sent an unconditional offer. You can only begin the CAS process once you have received an unconditional offer, and we do have specific dates in which we start sending out CAS. So the dates from when we start sending out CAS, or the time period, is around May for our extended intensive English students, because they join the course earlier, and it is June for the IFP students. So if you have an unconditional offer holder towards June time, then we will begin that CAS process. The accommodation applications start from around April, May time if you have accepted your conditional offer. So you can only apply for your accommodation once you have actually accepted your offer. Students get to apply to all of the accommodation options we have on campus. So you have the full selection of any accommodation option, just like an undergraduate student would do. So we do send out regular communications through to you. So make sure you check your emails. We will be reminding you of the deadlines that are coming up and any updates that we have on the programme.
And just a specific question, if a student has received an offer and then when they get their final transcript, the grades aren't necessarily quite what was in the conditional offer, what should they do then? Should they send them to you still, or what's the process?
Yes, we would say to any student who receives their final transcript, if they've not quite met the academic requirements, please still get in contact with us, because it could be something that you feel like you might have missed by a certain subject, but when we look at it, we think it's not necessarily a subject that actually relates to the foundation specific subject. Or what we could do, if the maths is slightly fallen short, we could then interview a student and see if we think that their maths level is still suitable for the programme, despite that slightly lower than required subject area. So we would advise students to get in contact with us, even if you still feel like you've not met the requirements, because there may be something we can still do for you.
Oh, brilliant. That's really good to know. And can you just remind us when our applications closing and how do students get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our applications are closing on the 31st of July. So you can contact us through email and telephone. We do have a counselling session option as well for students who can book counselling sessions. That might be a good opportunity for students to kind of get in touch with us and, have half an hour, 20 minutes where they can ask us all the questions that they may have. So that's a really good way to speak to somebody if you have lots of questions and that you feel like you just want to speak to someone specifically and get those questions answered. So we reply to our emails within 3 to 5 working days. So we have as well lots of other information on our website, such as student testimonials. Just like this one today, we have lots of webinars, previous webinars that have been recorded, as Alison mentioned previously, and other ones coming up, which will be, tailored to specific areas. You can take part in our live chats and you can reach out to Warwick agents. So there's lots of information and ways, for you to read and ways to get in touch with us so we can answer any questions that you may have. We also have a UniBuddy scheme as well, which you can speak to students directly, students that are on course at the foundation programme. And more information about that will be coming out in the next couple of months, or weeks, probably not months.
That's great. Thank you, Elysia. And in terms of the specific entry requirements and those specific English requirements, is that all on the website as well for the courses?
Yes, it is. So if you look on our go onto the individual courses, then look at their entry requirements. In terms of the academic requirements, there's a drop-down menu to all the different countries. By any means, though, if you feel like your country isn't there, or the education system that you're studying at isn't on the list, or if you just have any queries about what the entry criteria could be, just feel free to send us a message. We're happy to help you with any query that you might have, but most of the information will be on our website. In terms of the English language as well, this can vary slightly depending on what course you want to apply for, so make sure you check the website to see what the English language requirements of those courses are as well. And we do also have an English, a preparatory course called Extensive Intensive English, which is an 8-week programme that you can join prior to the main IFP. If you don't meet the main course requirements, but you do meet that course requirements, then you can also take that programme to meet the main course requirement. We do have an English language requirement for that programme as well, so make sure you check out their requirements for that too.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so we've now got some time for questions, and I can see that some have come into the chat already. So we'll just go through those, but please do keep adding questions and we'll go through them all. Is local British non-tier 4 visa eligible to apply? So yes, they are. There is although it's an international foundation programme, you don't have to have a visa requirement. So we do often have students who've got British nationality or other non-visa nationalities. What I would say is that the programme is designed for students who've not been taught necessarily in the UK on a local curriculum. Elysia, you can probably share some more about the entry requirements from that perspective as well.
Yeah, so in terms of kind of what we look for is, you know, we do accept students from sort of GCSE level and AS level, but we don't accept students that are studying in the UK on an A level qualification, just because we feel like the 2 years of A levels in the undergraduate, it does allow you to progress directly onto an undergraduate course, but we don't feel like the International Foundation Programme will benefit you that much in terms of you already have that 2 years of studying in the UK to get familiar with the education system. So it's generally accepting students from other international curriculums that really want to kind of get an idea and, you know, get familiar with the UK education system and familiarise themselves with that way of teaching before going into their undergraduate studies.
That's great, thank you. Yeah, so that's the question. It's very much more about the curriculum and where that's been studied rather than the person's background in terms of nationality. We're very much focused on what the academic qualification and where that's been taken. Part B of your question, I'm not quite sure, Tommy, so if you can just clarify that more about the cohorts of economics and business programme, if you could just provide a bit more information about what element you'd like to know about those programmes, and we can answer that. The next question is about the undergraduate global excellence scholarships and whether that covers the deposit or whether recipients will still need to pay that upfront. So the undergraduate global excellence scholarship, students for the foundation programme can apply for that. Typically, IFP students are awarded the £2,000 awards on there. So there are 10 specific £2,000 awards as part of the Global Excellence Scholarship that are reserved for IFP. So the chances of an IFP student receiving the full scholarship is very unlikely. As part of the shortlisting for that and the awarding, you don't need to have already paid your deposit. So if you secured that scholarship, then it would be regardless of whether you'd paid your deposit or not. But just to be aware that you're very unlikely to receive the full scholarship for the foundation programme. So the chances are there would still be additional fees that you would need to be paying as part of that. Next question is, what is the progression criteria to business degree after completing the IFP? So this changes. It's reviewed on an annual basis, but typically the criteria is around achieving an average overall on the programme. So typically it's around 70% on the business management IFP to progress onto the management undergraduate programme in the business school. What you will find on some courses, there are specific subject requirements as well. So they might say a 70% overall average with 70% in essential maths, for example, one of the modules. But we will make sure you've got that information once you enrol onto the course. Before you start the UCAS process, you'll be told exactly what the progression requirements are so that you can monitor your progress towards that before you've even applied for your undergraduate degree. How many students will be admitted into your business and economics programmes in the IFP? So this varies every year. Typically, we would have at least 30 students on each of those programmes. So the number of students on the programme overall will be around 200 each year. And then that breaks down across those 10 course areas. Business and economics are popular programmes, so we would normally expect at least 30 on each of those courses. And it's probably worth noting, I don't think we mentioned this previously in the presentation, but it'll be 30 students and it'll be a really diverse cohort. So we tend to see students from all around the world joining the foundation programme. So it'll be a really diverse group that students are joining. So it'll be 30 students, potentially from 10 to 15, perhaps even more different countries will be represented in those courses as well. So that's another great feature of the programme. Are there any other questions at all before we finish today? What I will do is I will just put our email address in the chat. This is the email address that has been sending out your invitations to the webinar, the booking confirmations. So you should have that already. But if you do have any questions after we finish today's session, as Elysia said, the team are there to support students no matter where they are in the process. If you're still thinking about applying, or if you've already applied and you're perhaps not sure about documents and what stage you're at, there are a team of people who are there to support you. So please do get in touch via email. So any of these sorts of questions we'll be able to answer via email, or as Elysia said, you can also sign up for a one-to-one session with one of our team if you'd like to discuss things and find out some more about your specific circumstances as well. I think that's it. I can't see anyone else typing. So I'd just like to say thank you very much to Elysia for all of the great advice about the admissions process and applying to the IFP. And I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us today and for your questions as well. We hope you found it useful. As I've said, we're always here if you do have any questions after we've finished, but enjoy the rest of your day, however long of it there is left, depending on where you are in the world. So thank you very much. It's great to see you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.